Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat, our Sunday night shit show. How apt. How are you?
I am doing very good because I am unfazed by the election because we saw this coming, for one.
Yeah.
And unlike our lib friends, we know we're fucked by either party. So
100%. Yeah.
It's not that different a feeling to me.
It's not that different at all, actually. And I think I'd be more depressed if Kamala had won, because it just would have justified all of the DNC and Dem elite, priors that they don't need us or anybody. And they can just do whatever they want. I don't know that they're learning their lesson. We're going to get into a lot of that today, but
well, I know they are not learning their lesson.
Yeah.
The thing is, and we all on the real left know this, they know the lesson.
Yeah.
It's just that, can they change and still hold their power? I mean, will the donors, where will they get money from? Will the consultant class exist if they actually went progressive? No.
Nope. That is the truth. Although I wonder how much more losing they can do and still have their donors give them money, or still have, like the Act Blue accounts that are all those PACs. Like, I wonder how long that can happen. Right now, it seems like it could go on indefinitely, as long as there's like a glimmer of hope. We just need to turn around the house. We just need to.
I mean, do the donors care who wins? Really, they don't. So,
right.
As long as you can put up a credible illusion of one side winning, it's
kayfabe, baby. Kayfabe.
I mean, the other thing is the donors don't want to be seen as one way or the other. Like some of the people that back Trump exclusively, like Home Depot versus Lowe's, right?
Right.
Like,
right.
There are Democrats out there saying, I'm never going to Home Depot again because they just backed Trump,
Right. And the MAGA crowd who won't drink Bud Light.
Speaking of beer.
Yeah, what are you drinking? What do you got?
I have a delicious beer I found for the name, and it's green, so it's the perfect show beer.
Perfect.
Completely
you can call it
invisible.
Anything.
Also work friendly if you're on a work Zoom call. But it's Urban Roots, a local brewery that makes they have a barbecue joint too, and an outdoor patio. So they're like the only place I'll go once in a while.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm COVID safe. But it's aptly named Right IPA. So it fits the Democrat. I would call this their election beer.
Their election beer. Right, wrong, left, right, left, wrong. What a mess. Well, good. I'm glad. I have my 14.5% Pinot Noir.
In a MAGA glass, I should point out. MAGA
yes,
glass.
It's my ode to red MAGA. No, it's not. I just like this deep red is my favorite color forever. Let's cheers to our one of the few good things that is a consistent right now. We are so grateful for our wonderful pup heroes and cheeros. You guys seriously make us so happy, and we are so grateful for your generosity. So thank you. Highlight of my week, many weeks, are our 2 nights together. And last week it was 3 nights together. And
I've subconsciously associated all of you with drinking beer, so we're like buddies.
Yeah,
when you're here, I get to drink beer.
I drink with you all every night, whether you're here or not.
And I know we have cheers coming, but I'm going to drink to this one too. This picture brought me a little bit of joy in my life.
Wow. Honestly, the fact that Hillary still shows her face in public and that anybody asks her opinion on anything is, as a 2-time presidential loser, right? I love to talk about how, Bernie lost and he couldn't even get through the primary, and Jill Stein shows up and she's never won, blah blah blah, whatever. These two are the biggest losers in our country for losing to a racist reality TV show game host clown.
But the country's gone MAGA. That's the message you're hearing. Like,
oh my God,
the whole country really has shifted over to Donald Trump's positions. That's why they lost.
This
or was it because she's black? Well, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Or a woman. They're not ready for a woman.
Yeah.
Or Russia.
Too progressive.
or Russia, or 100 days. She only had 100 days. 100
There's
days.
so many reasons. There's so many reasons. Okay, this is our. Oh yeah, go ahead. Did you want to say another?
No. Let's get to our cheers.
Well, this is a group in Israel called Standing Together. It is Palestinians and Israelis who are coming together, fighting against the occupation and fighting for peace. And this is the co-director, Rula Daoud, speaking.
אף אחד לא יבוא מבחוץ ויציל אותנו. זה המשימה שלנו, של האנשים שחיים כאן, יהודים, ערבים, ישראלים ופלסטינים. רק אנחנו יכולים להציל את עצמנו מממשלה פשיסטית, מהנהגות שמדברות רק על חורבן ועל מוות. ואנחנו כאן כי אנחנו לא מרימים ידיים. למה? כי זה הבית של כולנו. אף אחד לא ייקח את עצמו וילך מכאן. אנחנו פה ואנחנו נשארים כאן. יהודים, ערבים, ישראלים, פלסטינים. בארץ הזאת יש שני העמים, ואסור לנו לשכוח. יש את העם היהודי ויש את העם הפלסטיני. ולשנינו מגיע לחיות בביטחון, בשלום, בחופש, בחירות וגם בעצמאות. וזו הסיבה שאנחנו כאן.
Cheers to them. It's really hard, especially in that country. You know, at least here we have a majority of the country actually agrees with our progressive policies or left policies, and for a ceasefire and an arms embargo and or maybe they don't say one state solution, but certainly an end to this genocide. It's much harder where I think 2% of Israel is on their side. So cheers to them. Cheers to and her. Cheers. It's another excuse for me to take a drink of my wine.
Amen.
And cheers to you, Justin. That's very funny. I asked Clinton for advice, then do the opposite. Love that. And thank you for the super chat. Yeah, basically just run in the opposite direction of whatever that lady says. Jeez.
Yeah, just pretend she's a negative campaign on a ballot measure campaign. You see a commercial with Hillary on it, do the opposite.
Yeah. For real. I mean, it is just insanity. All right. Should we
start the shit show?
Let's start the shit show. We're gonna have to do an edit on that and take Kamala out pretty soon.
We are. I added something though. Did you miss it?
I love that the painting over of her. That was really good. I like it a lot. Yeah, I saw somebody. You know, it's so funny. There's so many people online who say, you know, oh, Kamala's aides, you know, say this, or they'll put up tweets without any citation, like any footnote to tell us where we should, or people who like do a graphic, but they don't put the name of the journal or who wrote it. It always just makes me feel strange. But so this might be completely unsubstantiated, but I did think it was funny that Kamala's, what'd you say?
Start some rumors.
Yeah, that Kamala's people are asking Biden to step down and resign so that at least she has, 70 days to be the first female president.
I mean, I hope they do it. It would just
be hilarious.
It's all about her. I mean,
yeah,
that's what she has in common with Hillary. They don't care about the country.
Not at all.
Not one lick. And it would just expose that. I mean, they're not going to do it. It's just farcical nonsense. But it would just expand. It would be in perfect alignment with the criticism that they get of being identity driven, woke politics and all that stuff.
With with nothing.
Here we are. You forced the woman in, and you know.
Yep. Kudos. Yeah. And that the lesson right now that I hear so many people saying who are in the Dem establishment is that, well, we're never going to run a woman again. Like, that's the lesson.
Yeah, the
And
lesson
so,
is
yeah,
the country's not ready for a black woman.
yeah,
The country's not ready for a woman. Well, we had Obama, so the idea that you can't be a person of color and win is
right,
ridiculous.
right.
And if anything, it helped her, although she lost black support from Biden. So,
But that was because we're policies, right? Like, I mean, they just never want to discuss policies. I've almost seen nobody talk about Israel in all of this. Like, they don't even mention it.
Very, very little.
Yeah.
And when it's brought up, it gets countered by all the flawless campaign messaging, like, oh, flawless. For 100 days, she did perfect. If you have 100 days and you blow 5 out of 6 interviews,
Yeah.
and that you have 6 interviews, and
Yeah.
5 of them are fucking god awful. That's not you can't possibly call that a flawless campaign. Now, maybe her handlers did the best they could with her, and that's how you're going to frame the flawless part. Like, but even then, the country was screaming for policy, and that part the campaign controlled. So
100%. Like, again, if somebody invited me, if I were invited onto the Joe Rogan show, I might not always sound smart, but I'd be able to talk about the policies that matter to me. I'd be able to talk about what's happening in the world, what's happening in our country. Like, I can talk, you can talk, we can all talk for hours about all of this. I would not have to, I've got 100 days to figure out why I want to be the leader of the free world. What in the
100 days? How am I different from the guy that nobody likes that's president? I don't have an answer.
And by the way, she managed to raise over $1 billion in 100 days and spend that plus $250 million. So she had her hands full, I guess.
Yeah, I think you could have put 20 million of that into, hey, somebody come up with my platform. Somebody write a platform that's popular and distances me a little bit from Biden.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody here's $1 million. Give me an answer for $1 million for the right answer when they ask me what's different from you and Biden, which you should have seen coming because you're the vice president running as a change candidate. You better explain that.
Yeah. Yeah. But here's the thing. The real money would go to the person who can come up with her being the change candidate without offending the deep pockets of their donors. That's where the rub is. They all know what's popular. They all know it. But they also know that if they actually do what a majority of this country wants, they lose their money. So what do you do? What do you do? It's a conundrum wrapped in a mystery.
Look, if I wanted to be evil, I could be that guy and easily get a message out to her that would change nothing, but read as changing something. And they couldn't do that with $1 billion, which is just embarrassing. So not flawless in the least. I mean, that's just the silliest framing. And the fact that they all chose that word flawless, it was not an accident. That's the campaign getting out there and calling their people that they feed stories to and say, look, we really wanted out there that this was a flawless campaign. Flawless, flawless, flawless.
100%. All right, we're going to get into it. Should we just spin the wheel first and then we'll get into it?
Amen.
All right, we're spinning the wheel. Here we go.
Yeah, baby.
Excellent. I could use a little bit more of a refill. Give me 1 second while I take that off and go to the next one. All right.
Yeah, baby.
This might be my new favorite beer.
Yeah?
And it's made locally, like literally blocks. So.
Oh God, more. I love that proximity. It's my that's like my trifecta of all the different things that I need. Okay, one more time, and then I'm just gonna start taking stuff away.
And with beer, it really matters if it's fresh. So,
I'm very happy for you. I am such a routine person that I just always drink my very same wine every time.
I hear you. Should we listen to?
Yeah.
Well, they're both Kwame. I think we should.
Yep.
Which one do you want? Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Tell me. You choose.
Let's hear about the Dems being racist.
Let's do it.
If you look at the Africans in the Democratic Party, now I'm not a Democrat. I've never voted in my life in the Democratic Party, and I never vote in the Democratic Party. It's racist and it's capitalist to the core. This is understood. And I shed my blood. I shed my blood for the vote now. I want to make that clear. Some people get confused. The vote for me has never been the road to liberation. It's only the means of organizing my people. I know that. I was a young man in Harlem when they disbarred Adam Clayton Powell. Harlem had no representation. We continued to eat and sleep and take drugs and continue life just like always. When Julian Bond was elected, when we were young in SNCC in Atlanta, Georgia, and they refused to seat him because of his position against the war in Vietnam. The Africans in that area, his congressional district, continued life just as we've not been having any mayors, and we've been having life, and even with the mayors now, the quality of life has not improved at all. So I've known the vote is never what? You vote for once in 4 years, and that's your political responsibility? That's the height of bourgeois propaganda, making the people politically irresponsible, thinking their responsibility is limited to a one-day vote. Well, politics is every day of every minute. You have to be aware of what's going on, not voting on one day. So the vote has never meant anything. So I'm not a Democrat. But one thing is clear. Jesse Jackson, undeniably, has done more for the Democratic Party than any other African in this country. This is an objective fact. More than Ron Brown, certainly. More than Vernon Jordan, certainly. For the Democratic Party, I'm speaking. Because every African that Jesse registers is, by definition, an African. I understood this even in my early days for SNCC. I said, look out, we're working for the Democratic Party. I said, I don't do that. Yeah, I'm a revolutionary. I can't work for the Democratic Party. But every African you registered is voting Democrat. That's the rule. So this man, Clinton, comes to power and thinks that he can decide which African he will deal with. He's going to get his own Africans. He thinks he's going to tell us which African he's going to impose upon us. I say, I'm not a member of the Democratic Party, but I know if Jesse Jackson has less power than every other African Democrat in this country, he has more influence over voting Democrats than any other African in the country.
So crazy that this has been going on, the exact same thing that was over 30 years ago, right? Nothing
And just
has changed.
absolutely spot on. And all the videos about capitalism, about even Palestine that you get from the black civil rights leaders going back decades. And it took a revolution on the internet for the public to get these messages, like, you know, to really get them, to hear them often and not be some obscure little thing they could ignore. Because now people are tuned in, and it's really the downfall of the Democratic Party. I think truth is the downfall, because on the right,
they don't care about truth.
They don't care about truth.
They're not
they
pretending
also,
that they're not evil.
The left, you need your voters to be enthusiastic, and knowing more about the Democratic Party is never going to help the left, the Democratic Party. It's the more you learn, the less you like them, and the less enthusiastic you are to get out of bed and canvass or vote for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the other thing, like the dismissal that all of these vote blue no matter who, and the pundit class and the DNC operatives, like, oh, we don't need the left. Meanwhile, like, the left is what got them Georgia, right? The left who was marching for George Floyd and defund the police and Black Lives Matter, those were the ones who registered people. They were the one who galvanized people. They're the ones who arrange the get out the vote and go pick people up and bring them, and like all of that is the left. So even if they don't always vote, they actually put in work. And it's all, by the way, it's not paid. Like, you're relying on that enthusiasm for your structure.
Right. And meanwhile, the paid elements of the campaign are being spent to attack progressives, like literally sometimes funding the Republican opponent. But they're attacking progressive ideas. They spent how many million this year on influencers? I mean, we know Hillary had her $1 million trolls famously, but like all that is to attack progressives who are supposed to be your voters at the end of the day. And they're not. They're like, we get the message. You're not 100%. Progressive. You fucking hate us. You're not going to pass. And you are the impediment to our policies getting into Congress.
Right. Which is why, like, the people who say, oh, we'll push them left once they get in office, but then like send their money to the Act Blue accounts, like, that's not pushing anybody left. That's just reinforcing you're glad they're there. Like, and they're doing nothing except using that money to fight against the left and deflate enthusiasm. Okay, should we just start with the overall this David Schroeder put this together because it's so absurd. We already showed the clip of Joy Reid a couple nights ago, but it did not stop with Joy Reid. As Pat said, the memo went out.
Kamala Harris ran basically a flawless campaign, but just on the most elemental level, being a mixed race woman from California maybe doomed her candidacy from the start.
I think Vice President Harris ran an incredible campaign. And I think because she ran an incredible campaign, it's been very telling about who we are. Because her campaign did focus on the threat to democracy.
I think that she ran a flawless campaign, and I maintain that. I think now it's the time for us to work.
I thought she did a phenomenal job.
Yep.
She went all out. She did what she could.
You cannot use her failed run in 2019 and hold her against her after watching this incredible campaign she's run now.
I think Kamala Harris hit her marks. I think most everybody that saw her campaign thought that she far exceeded expectations and that the loss was less about the campaign she ran and more about where Americans were.
And nothing that was true yesterday about how flawlessly this campaign was run is not true now. I mean, this really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign. Queen Latifah never endorses anyone.
Oh my God. Like their only job is to be the opposition to the end of democracy and fascism.
Yeah, you cannot call a campaign flawless that hides the candidate for the first 2 months of her 100 days, and then she has 5 fucking god-awful interviews. How do you even, with a grain of
Queen
reality, say something like that?
Queen Bey. Yeah, and as opposed to somebody like the Greens or Bernie, who also lost, Bernie made popular and understandable that we all should be demanding so much more. So even though he lost, even though I wish he had kept fighting, I wish he had gone third party, but there was actually a success, small, very small, but in radicalizing people and waking so many of us up that this isn't okay and that we deserve what most of the rest of the developed world has, and that we only don't have it because of billionaires. That to me is still not a successful campaign, not flawless, but you could at least point to one thing. What can they point to? That she got Queen Latifah's endorsement. What else? What did she change? Like what did she do?
What was her platform? I mean, you beckoned in Trump. I mean, Trump is your fault, Kamala, and the Democratic 100%. Party. Like, even with all the flaws of the Democratic Party, if you just had some basic questions ready to answer about what you were running for, you'd have won this thing. If you'd have shifted your policy rhetoric about Palestine, you would have won this thing.
Yep.
So flawless, no, terrible. And they're doing everything they can to pretend it wasn't that she ran a Republican campaign and her Palestine position.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So just to start, she raised $1 billion. And this is where some of her money went, as we were saying before, almost $4 million to an influencer recruitment agency, payments to private jet company. And this is $100,000 to build a set for her appearance on the Call Her Daddy show.
Which is wild because, I mean, we know how many times did you see Bernie in just little, obviously somebody's studio.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, look at my $100,000 green screen.
That was only 100. I spent 250,000.
I mean, like and subscribe, and we can change this background to another green screen.
No, I like our one. I don't want to change it.
But it's crazy. $100,000 for what? I mean, I get it. It's all branding. It's all marketing. And, that's all she was.
Okay, fine. But did you even see that? It just looked like two people sitting on chairs. Like it wasn't even, you can do that in any hotel room. Just rent out a nice hotel room. Like what?
I went and looked at the pictures after I said $100,000, read $100,000. I'm like, dude, that's like 10 grand for the labor and building it. That's it. Like, come on.
And you don't even, again, like you don't need it. Like, I mean, I used to do, I used to write and do research for biography and those sorts of shows. Tom Cruise, he just comes to a hotel room. You rent out a hotel room, you put your lights up. I mean, that's it. Like, you
just need good lighting and
yeah.
a professional video person that knows how to stage a scene.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
that's so revealing. Like, they need to build a set.
No, like, for example, Tina Desiree Berg, who's on Status Quo and does her own stuff. Her and I were doing interviews at Kadam's years ago, and she knew how to put a little plant in front of the thing, and she had all that part down, and that's the Hollywood experience. Like, you would be great at it, you actresses.
Yeah, it's just
but $100,000 for the set is just stupid money.
It just shows you where their priorities were.
But with all that money,
smash that like that. Yeah.
They went over budget by $20 million, and Trump has trolled him and say, "Oh, we could help you pay that money off."
Okay, I actually thought that they were more in depth than that. Maybe that was just his original, or maybe he got it wrong because he gets everything wrong. But because I know they're already saying that they're trying to sell off the email lists because of their debt. But I thought they were 250 million in debt. No, I guess 20 million. I mean, it's all so gross. Like, we're just talking in numbers that are so absurd and grotesque.
But apparently a lot of the people didn't get their last paycheck they were counting on.
Yes,
so that's part of it. I mean, obviously they ran a shit campaign through and through. I mean, this isn't rare that you have this financing stuff at the end, but it's emblematic of the kind of campaign they ran in her case.
Every moment of it was facade. That's all it was. It's a campaign of joy. What are you talking about? Why joy when people are desperate? It's like,
and I just want to add that.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Chuck Taylor's, that was like a $50,000, clothing designer marketing person's call probably or something, but they're like, which shoes, and they got charts in front of her and which
that
shoes,
little girl.
But I just wanted to make sure we bring it up that
thank you.
3 point whatever million went to influencers online. I think we all know who some of those podcasters were who took some of that influencer money.
I am not going to.
I'm not naming names, but
if
you overnight drop your progressive shit and start saying we got to go vote for Kamala, you probably took some of that influencer money,
or you were hoping to. Whatever it was not a natural progression justified by any thoughts. Like, and I can even, whatever. Anyway, let's get into what people are actually saying. So we're not peddling in conspiracy that we probably all agree with. Okay, so we showed this a few days ago, how registered Republicans voted, those Republicans that Chuck Schumer has been chasing for, however many years it's been. I think 2015 or was it even earlier? It might have been in 2010. I had it all written down and now I can't remember when it was. But anyway, so since 2020, all that Lincoln Project money that was a big grift that went right to those racist war criminal Republicans from the George W. Bush era administration, they managed to get 6% of the Republican vote in 2020, and it went down this year. They got 5%. Stop chasing Republicans. It's ridiculous.
And stop chasing never Trump Republicans. Like, that's some anomaly. I mean, that's like, they thought that was just branding. It's just like, some way to differentiate us from them is Trump is this crazy guy.
But they can't even point to how they're different.
When you do that, you're not even it's all part of the strategy of avoiding policy.
Yep. The good ones, the patriotic Dick Cheney.
Right. It was a justification to slide right and basically build the border wall,
Always.
All that stuff. Strike tail, sorry. Strike has been insanely in my business every time I do podcasts now.
Yeah, she's really into it. She wants a spot on the show. So this is conservatives, so different from Republicans, I guess, but conservatives went from 14% voting for Biden in 2020 down to 9% for Kamala. This though is a little interesting it still didn't make the difference, and I really wish. We're also going to have to talk about how we ever get a third party, because they didn't even break 1%, any of the third parties. But anyway, in must-need places, the Trump margins versus the uncommitted vote. But this is not actually what happened. I think this is back in the primaries, which is why they should have taken them seriously. But if you actually look at the breakdown of the states, unfortunately, even if you had given all of the Jill Stein votes, I guess uncommitted could have also gone and voted for Trump, right? But the Jill Stein votes, even if you give them all to Kamala, would not have made a difference in a single state.
Nowhere at all. So
yeah,
it was really telling to see them. A lot of people come out and still blame the Stein folks. It's like, how?
Well, because they're that one that we showed on Wednesday, where whoever it was it even, I don't even know if it was a one of the, not Mueller she wrote, but like one of those kind of people said, you can just choke on your vomit or whatever if you voted Jill Stein. And she did a post of Virginia.
The state where she won. Look,
yeah,
what are you doing?
She did it too early and she didn't know the actual results. And Peter Dow was like, wait, actually she won Virginia. But anyway, yeah. So, and then just a reminder, which we've been talking about since 2016, once again in 2020, and this was 2024. You're not going to be able to see a thing. I'm putting my readers on just to let you know that voters support progressive policies. This is from the end of July this year, and all the big blue bars, that's all likely voters. Okay. That's not just Democrats. It's all likely voters. And it's Medicare, it's prescription drugs, it's make the wealthy pay their taxes, it's expand Social Security, cap on rent increases, reinstating child tax credit, affordable housing, raise the minimum wage, wasn't even part of her platform this year. Eliminate debt, free public college, pass the PRO Act, all of these things, which are too far left, majority popular. So,
and literally zero of them were part of her platform.
Not one.
Zero.
Not even a cap on rent. She mentioned it
Flawless.
and then once, and then I think probably the Mark Cuban, the good billionaires told her to back away from it.
Yeah, and even the no tax for tipped workers. She didn't come out with that. She tagged on to Trump's. Like, I'll do that too. I'll do that too.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to take a look at what some of the other muckety mucks are saying?
Yeah. Let's stay with the blameless theme for a while because we got lots of clips of these.
Oh yeah.
Good old folks. Which one? Let's not we have a Hillary clip. I don't want it.
I don't know if we should ever have to listen to that lady ever again.
This rant about why she lost was one angle.
There's this sense, right, that whiteness, right, is under threat. The demographic shifts. The country isn't what all of these racially ambiguous children on Cheerios commercials are confusing the hell out of me. Right?
Eddie, a lot of people voted because their life's too damn expensive, and it was here, and it.
They voted for. You're telling me, Stephanie, that all of these people who believe that their lives are, that bread is too high and eggs are too high, that they voted for a convicted felon, a guy who said we can grab the pea.
I think that a lot.
They voted for this guy.
I'm not defending it. But I think there are tons of people that don't pay attention to, and I'm not defending it, don't pay attention to politics at all. But while we live in the most prosperous country in the world, people are saying life's not fair. I'm not doing well. My son's still living in the basement. I can't seem to get a job. I don't like the status quo. I'm voting for something else. And he was the person.
I love you to life.
I love you.
But I do not believe that. I cannot believe that. And the reason I think you believe it is because you don't want to believe that that's what's really motivating them. It's always the case. People don't want to believe what the country actually is, because if they believe it, they're going to have to confront what's in them. I don't believe that. They voted for a crook, a person who they know is stealing from, just doing everything to undermine the so-called country that they love. And then they're telling us the BS that it's economics. We know that's not.
That is, first of all, that Eddie Glaude has switched spots with Stephanie Ruhle is so depressing to me. He used to be a leftist. And now he's going to talk about convicted felons when everything they charged, what's his face, Trump with and got him on was something that pretty much any politician you can name could also be accused of, right? Like certainly.
But it's just a distraction. Like he didn't answer why the economy, like that doesn't tell you why you wouldn't vote for Trump. I mean,
and he did pull more people to him, but the people he pulled were Black and Latino and Asian and young, which is horrifying. But he overall got fewer votes than he did last time. She certainly got fewer votes than Biden did, 14 million fewer votes to be exact. So the whole convicted felon thing does not wash when you're committing a genocide. I'm sorry. I don't care. Like, I don't care about any of that. I don't care that laws are arbitrary clearly, because if you really care about financing your, violating FEC rules for your campaign, you could bring out a lot more people in that. How about insider trading? That could be almost every member of Congress. Like, all of that is such bullshit in the face of a genocide. But then Stephanie Ruhle has the audacity to act like she has any understanding. Do you think she voted for Trump? Like, I wonder what's happening. Like, she's trying to make an excuse. She hates poor people. She hates the working class.
I mean, he sounds like he does too, but I'm not going to put that on him. But
I agree.
For him
I'm so
to be
sad.
so blind to think it couldn't have been economics when it's the economy stupid is the mantra that everybody really understands every single time. It's gas prices, it's the prices of bread. And he's like, oh, isn't that cute that you think it's the economy? Like,
yeah, isn't that cute?
Look
at that from a friend of show, Steven Sandler. Poverty in the US increased 67% under Biden-Harris. I mean, that's horrifying.
And if you're suffering, what on earth would make you think the vice president is going to change the trajectory of things that Biden has put us on?
When all they do is talk about how great the economy is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, of course not. That, and one of the things that I think a lot of people have talked about is like, how do you tell the story? Who's the villain? And Trump tapped into people's pain in 2016, and his villain, I think all of us agree, is wrong. And honestly, the Democratic Party and the sort of titular left didn't blame immigration until Biden and Harris started taking on that right-wing talking point that the villain, it's not the billionaires who own our country and our politicians. No, it's the immigrants. And we want that border bill, but Trump stopped it. Trump couldn't even finish his wall. We're going to finish building it.
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be easy for the right to find a scapegoat. It's just that the left, the left always felt like, well, we're the logical people, look at things logically, and we're not going to emotionally react to things and blame people. But we're pulled so far when you have no platform yourself and you just allude to it by building the wall, passing the immigration bill, deporting people,
because they don't want to blame
tough on crime. Basically you're saying all you poor people suffering and worried about getting deported or against the cops, like, don't worry about us. We're with the Republicans, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
because they wouldn't blame you can't have people on stage during the DNC as the good billionaires and blame them for what they've created in our world, because there's no good billionaires ever. None. Never, ever, never. They steal people's labor. They destroy our climate. They control the purse strings for our policymakers, and Bernie blamed them. So you had Bernie blaming the billionaires, which is why they hated him, and Trump blaming immigrants. And that's way more comfortable for liberals because they do not want anything to affect their pocketbooks. So when you don't have the true villains to blame because you're palling around with them and they're threatening to fire, Gary Gensler and Lena Khan. You just have to go with what the Republicans have already framed as the villains. And people need a reason that their lives suck so hard, right? And there is a reason, but Democrats aren't willing to call it out.
Yeah, but like when he's on that show and he's saying, it can't be the economy, that just shows how out of touch. I mean, because you can tell he believes it. It's not a talking point to him. And, I understand, some sort of level of tribalism as a Black person feeling like, this could be about race, and race factors into it somewhat for the whole MAGA movement to even exist.
Right.
But
no, of course there's
people
racism.
Voted
yes.
on the economy. And if you can't see that, you're detached from the pain of the economy, the pain that the economy has put on most of America.
Absolutely.
So just to pile on that a little bit,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Did you
No, go ahead.
say something?
No, it's just more ranting. Go ahead.
Well, let's listen to Joy's rant. Joy Reid's rant.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to give some free advice to the white progressives, particularly white progressive women who may be thinking about marching against the Trump victory, maybe putting back on the P-word hats and doing that thing. I would just say probably don't send any of those invites to any Black women. I'm just going to tell you right now, they're not coming. I'm pretty sure Black women have resigned from the Save America Coalition, Save Democracy Coalition, and definitely the Save the Democratic Party Coalition. I think that's probably not happening. I would just keep those invites maybe among your own friends because I don't think they're coming. But yeah, I think Black women are now on the Save Black Women, prioritize Black men, and prioritize Black communities, Black businesses, and that. The Black spaces, but Save America, Save the Democratic Party. Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
Nobody ever thought she was on board with saving anything about America. This is the second part of her disgustingness.
Also, Latino men who, despite the utter disrespect shown by Trump and his promise to deport some of your mixed status families, most of them voted in a 55% majority to make the deportations happen. Y'all voted with Stephen Miller and David Duke and against your own sisters and chose Kamala Harris with 60% of their votes. So you own everything that happens to your mixed status families and to your wives, sisters, and abuelas from here on in.
I love this framing. And I know we talked about it before, but I love it. Good. Yes. Great. Yes. And she owns every shredded child, every bombed building, every mom and dad who have to pick the scraps of their child up and put it in a plastic bloody bag and weigh it because that's probably how much a 6-year-old weighs. She owns all of that. She is repulsive.
She owns it because she can't feign ignorance. She has herself very much been a part of down the home stretch here, pointing out the genocide.
Yep.
So for her to frame it exclusively as people voted to deport themselves, people voted to, go back to times of slavery. She didn't say that, but some of these other people will probably
you own your family being deported. Yeah.
Like hoping that pain comes to these people because of their vote. Like that's what they voted for.
Right.
Well, then you voted for, like you said, babies in bags and
cop cities. Cop cities, the end of COVID protections. Let's go down the list of everything anybody who voted for Biden in 2020 and Kamala Harris, what they own, because the death list is long. And by the way, I kind of endorse all that. Like I really do. Yeah, I do think like if I don't want to push people away, and I know that people are scared, and there are probably people who did vote for Kamala Harris because where they live, the idea of having Trump is even worse. And I get that. And so I'm not blaming regular voters, but anybody like Joy Reid or Stephanie Ruhle or any of these people who make millions of dollars chastising, condemning people to their fate. Oh, don't tell me about clean water, Michigan. Don't tell me about floods and hurricanes, Florida and North Carolina. Like all of these people deserve so much more than what's coming to them.
And more so for a media person like Joy Reid, who has a platform, who could have turned that platform. I mean, she probably wouldn't have been allowed to, but if you have that platform and you aren't saying the Democrats are going to lose if they don't shift policy, you should have been doing that for a long time. You saw this coming, really. I mean, she even reported on the Palestine stuff sort of accurately-ish. So she should have been screaming for the Democratic. She should frame all of her shows on the Democratic Party is going to lose or is losing support, or, this is not my Democratic Party. What's happening? Why are we doing this?
And to blame voters. Like, what happened? Like, first of all, what kind of approach is that? Not to meet people where they are, And again, I would never blame individual regular people who vote, because people are desperate right now, or who don't vote or whatever it is. But for people who are making millions of dollars to do the bidding of their billionaire owners, they should all just take the biggest seat ever.
Truly.
Before we get kicked out, we should just thank Hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Hope.
Cheers. Wait,
And
there's more coming.
There's
more
Kimmy?
coming. Nope, more coming. Kimmy, thank you. You guys, thank you so much. You all, that means so much to us. Thank you. Sorry. Go ahead, Pat.
I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry. I'm always so scared.
There's so much hate in my heart. It doesn't.
I know. Same.
Which hate do you want?
Okay. So just to go back to, food insecurity. This is in the last 3 years. And that's why the other thing, when they talk about incremental change and progress doesn't happen overnight. You know what happens overnight? $2 trillion to bail out Wall Street. $2 trillion to forgive all the PPE loans, whatever. PPP.
Yeah.
What is it? Whatever.
PPE
Pandemic loans. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. So
look at that.
If your economic situation is so hard that you believe somebody is better on the economy, right or wrong.
Right.
If you're really suffering, you're going to vote for whoever you think is going to help your personal economy most of the time.
Yeah.
Right. If you need to get by, it's like when poor people go to Walmart, can you blame them? None of us should be shopping at Walmart. It's fucking a terrible organization.
Yeah.
Good
luck though, finding an organization that's not where you shop.
But if you have a lot of money, that's an easier choice to make than somebody who needs to save $100 on their grocery bill.
Of course, yeah.
So you can't blame them, and it's voting is sort of the same way for people.
Yes,
and that's why they overlooked a lot of the racism on the right, because they thought Trump would be better on the economy, which is such a pox on Democrats that they think he's better for the working class than them.
100%. But also, what about all the racism on the left? Not left, but on the, in the Democrats? Sorry, but everybody who's protesting against a genocide is not a racist or is not Hamas and an anti-Semite. Isn't a terrorist who's anti-Semitic. The people who are arrested or shot because they're trying to prevent, cop cities from being built or their whole forests from being torn down. Those that's racism also. You're running on a platform that's not talking about minimum wage or living wage, not talking about healthcare, not talking about what's happening in Flint, Michigan, that's now been replicated in many poor cities around the whole country, poisoning their water. That's all racism. And it affects all of us, but it starts with those people, in Michigan, we know, as Jordan Sheridan said, they replaced the pipes in Ann Arbor where the rich white people are. That, right? So it's all racism. And so for people to think, oh, it's only racism if you say the N-word or you call Puerto Rico garbage. Yeah, that's racism. It's gross. But there are other ways of destroying and doing social murder to all different races.
And along those lines, back to Joy Reid's, don't count on us. I hope you
Yeah.
kind of, not
You
suffer,
own it.
but like,
Yeah. Oh,
I hope
yeah.
you suffer became a common theme among
Oof, yeah.
leftist, Democratic,
Yeah.
libs, basically on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. There's so many videos out there. We could have pulled 50 of them, 100 of them.
Yeah.
Where they're just saying like, hey, we're going to call ICE on people now.
Oh my God,
if
that
you're
was
a Mexican
crazy.
Hispanic voter who voted for Trump, oh, what's your phone number? We're gonna call ICE. And
here's how you can look up how people voted. Macarius, thank you. Cheers. Thank you.
I mean, it's really disgusting, and it shows like that's why you lost the election, because you stopped caring about the I mean, what happened to DACA? What
did they even talk about it? What happened to like, will you fight for somebody you don't know? It's not transactional. Like the whole thing that they do with like Palestinians, they do this like pink washing thing where people will be like, oh, well, gay people in Palestine are, I don't know, thrown off of, porches or, balconies, whatever. Like, horrible, horrible. But first of all, Israel is genociding gay Palestinians too, number one. And I don't abhor a genocide or apartheid just because those people are like woke enough for me. Like, it's wrong. Even if I don't agree with them politically, like even if I don't agree with Trump people politically, I would never vote for Trump. I would never vote for any Republican, but I'm not wishing them to die because of it. Like, I want to help people. We need a project that brings everybody in, that lifts everybody up. I'm not looking around and just hoping that these people have poison water. These people are deported. These people are genocided. If only you guys all signed on to my agenda of being super Benetton, friendly rainbow.
Amen. And I do think we should spin the wheel, but while we're on this and we're sort of talking about Israel and democracy abroad, I think we should show the comedian. What was his name? Amir Abraham?
I love him. I could just sit and watch him constantly. We just keep showing different clips of his because he's so good. Amir Abraham,
Here we go.
Israel says it's the only democracy in the Middle East, which is fine. That's fine. You just have to complete the sentence, right? The only democracy in the Middle East that gets $4 billion in military aid from the United States every year. The only democracy in the Middle East that uses white phosphorus on civilians. The only democracy in the Middle East that refers to starving a trapped population as putting Gazans on a diet. The only democracy in the Middle East that refers to bombing that same population as mowing the lawn. Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East whose soldiers make TikToks of their war crimes. The only democracy in the Middle East. Israel is the biggest fucking Karen in the Middle East, okay? A white woman who moves into someone else's neighborhood, then says she doesn't feel safe and continually calls the police to terrorize the locals, okay? Just a brat with an unlimited murder budget. Dad, I need $14 billion for my ethno-state. The United States is like this drunk, rich, alcoholic dad who's like, all right, be good, don't spend it all at once. What does a Karen do? What does a Karen do when you call her racist? Cry, deflect, and then call you racist. Hey, Israel, stop the genocide. Excuse me? I just had to look at a sticker that said Free Palestine. I think I'm the one being genocided, okay? Why did you bomb this residential apartment building? We dropped flyers on them first. Oh, okay. So you send notes to the people you're about to murder? Like a serial killer? It's not normal. It doesn't make it okay. You've killed everyone here. Okay, but we called them first. Yeah, genocide courtesy calls. It doesn't make you civilized. It doesn't make the genocide okay. How can you call it genocide when people are still alive? Yeah, it's not genocide after you exterminate everyone. It's genocide when you try, okay? And of course, everything's about October 7th. Everything's about Hamas, because of course, colonizers' favorite trick is to start the timeline when it's convenient for them. And isn't it wild? Every single time Israel levels a civilian target where they say Hamas is hiding, Hamas manages to magically teleport out of there without a trace. Every church, every mosque, every school, every hospital, Hamas, their tunnels, everything just vanishes. 15,000 tons of bombs all over Gaza, 30,000 people dead. They said they were going to find the biggest Hamas bat cave under Al-Shifa Hospital. And then what happened? Vanished without a trace. Where did they get these superpowers? Who is Israel fighting? Hamas or the fucking X-Men? What's happening? All colonized people see themselves in Palestine. They see some aspect of what was done to them in Palestine. And all colonizers see themselves in Israel. And everything that they're testing now, the weapons, surveillance, counterinsurgency, urban combat tactics, that's all the shit that they're going to export around the world to use against black and brown people. So everything in Palestine is what's happened and is going to happen. It's the past and the future at the same time.
You dropped me. Oh no, I have to be on that side. Yeah, I think for real, we're doing each other.
We're fighting over who's the real left.
Yeah, exactly. He, I think, taped that in January. He was a comedian. His name is Amer Ram, Aamer, and then the last name is Ram, Rahm, Amer Ram. And, or I might be mispronouncing it, Amer, but he's so fantastic. And the whole, it's like an hour long, is just wonderful. But yeah, that was, I think, back in January. So the numbers, of course, have gone way up. And we'll get to the latest example of Israel crying victim in a moment, but we'll finish up on the election, but not before we stand.
Yeah, baby.
That was sort of a timeline cleanse, but we didn't look at God.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna refill my drink and then just quickly, I might just remove one of those to give us a better.
Yeah, baby.
All right, I'll do a little more. I think should I do that?
It's all right. I need the beer. Keep hitting it.
Okay. I'm keeping it, but I'm spinning.
Yeah, baby.
The biggest glass ever. Oh my god, I love my fishbowl. All right, you know what? We landed on Hero again. Pat, just go ahead. I'm gonna make an audible, call an audible. Haven't done that in a while. Why don't you show us a puppets? Because that's the thing that always makes everybody feel.
All right, puppets.
Don't do that. He's not overeating. I know that. Look at.
Mr. Chief, face the camera.
That was very cute. We needed that moment. We needed it.
Did we? I don't know. Strike's new thing, by the way. I know everyone cares. Really important. Let's clip this part and share it on Twitter because this is what people want to know.
Yeah, look.
But she's figured out how to jump up onto my ledge with teepee rolls, and she keeps stealing fresh teepee rolls and bringing them out here and shredding them. It brings them all the way from the back of the apartment to the front and shreds them everywhere.
Yeah, that's fun. It keeps you on your toes. She doesn't want you to have a moment where you're just resting. It's important. Okay, let's continue the blame game because there's quite a bit of it and it goes in all different ways. So Bernie put out this statement that basically, I think we read it, but just as a reminder, because there are lots of responses to it, it should come as no great surprise that the Democratic Party, which has abandoned working class people, would find that working class has abandoned them. First, it was the white working class, and now it is Latino and Black voters as well. While the Democratic leadership defends the status quo, the American people are angry and want change, and they're right. Today, while the very rich are doing phenomenally well, 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and we have more income and wealth equality than ever before. Unbelievably, real inflation accounted for weekly wages for the average American worker are actually lower now than they were 50 years ago.
Okay. Spot fucking on.
Yeah.
But
where the fuck has he been? No kidding.
Here's the but. Dude, you told us Biden was the most progressive since FDR. You know, what you threw your endorsement at him before even Pelosi endorsed him. Like, how does this square with what you told everybody for the last fucking year?
In my private moments, which I shouldn't even say out loud, there's a part of me that wonders if they threatened his life or the life of his grandchildren. It makes me feel better about him, because otherwise it is just reprehensible, actually. And that's all. Okay, leader of the DNC, straight up BS is his quote tweet of what Bernie just said. Jamie Harrison is like a non-entity in the world, except that he controls the purse strings of the DNC. Nobody can point to him as doing anything consequential ever. And he has the audacity to come out to the one truth teller in that whole vile party and say that Biden was the most pro-worker president of my lifetime. Well, thanks, Bernie. You kind of put that right in his mouth. Saved union pensions, created millions of good paying jobs, and even marched in a picket line while crushing 3 different strikes. And some of what's MVP? MVP, I don't even know. Who's that?
VP's plan. Probably he put the M in there for no reason. Probably saying
okay,
vice president.
Okay. VP, fundamentally change the quality of life and close the racial wealth gap for working people across this country, from the child tax credit to $25,000 for a down payment. Nope, that was another credit. To Medicare covering the cost of senior health care in their homes. There's a lot of means-tested bullshit that was designed to fail that the MVP was proposing.
Madam Vice President.
Madam Vice President, thank you. Yeah. No, you're right. Well done. A lot of post-election takes, and this one ain't a good one.
It's actually the only correct one I've seen. I mean, honestly, it's the real one. And for guys like Jamie Harrison hasn't resigned. Like he's still holding his position. Pelosi's still in her position of power within the Democratic Party, even though like half the party is blaming Biden for this whole thing. That's another piece we didn't even get to. They're blaming Biden.
Well, we've got plenty of it, but let's stick with the Bernie stuff because as you said, like here's Pelosi.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I'll read it. Ken Clifford-Stein. Nancy Pelosi says of Bernie Sanders' critique of the party, Bernie Sanders has not won. I don't respect him saying that the Democratic Party has abandoned the working class families. She took issue with comments this week from Senator Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders has not won, with all due respect, and I have a great deal of respect for him for what he stands for as she gets more chocolate ice cream out of her $2,000 fridge. But I don't respect him saying that the Democratic Party has abandoned the working class families. She suggested, because this is the easiest thing and it's never going to affect her pocketbook, that cultural issues were more to blame for Democrats' loss among the working class. Guns, gods, and gays. That's the way they say it, she said. Guns, that's an issue. Gays, that's an issue. And now they're making the trans issue such an important issue in their priorities and in certain communities, what they call God, what we call a woman's right to choose. The wall.
It is so dumb to try to take the only branding the Democratic Party has is the culture issues. It used to be fighting for the working class, but they've removed that. So now they're down to simply the culture stuff, which is, important, gay rights, gay marriage.
But they're not going to do anything to enshroud those rights.
Yeah,
They're
but
just going
that's
to talk about it.
and they didn't on purpose, so they can keep running on this issue and it can stay
Yep.
part of their brand. If you got these things, you would need to keep fighting for them, you know. So, but to take that away and say it's this spin to make it about wokeness just fucking kills me. Like, it's not wokeness, dude. It's the economy, stupid.
It's absolutely the economy. And as they do this wokeness thing, it's like one, you know, the last shred of decency that Democrats can pretend to have is standing up for, you know, the LGBTQ plus crowd or, you know, but they didn't stand it. That was it. Like they actually threw everything else under the bus. Like,
but when you take that away, which is what she's suggesting they do basically by putting this out there.
Yeah.
You won't even have these angry TikToks, like, because who are you going to get to be inflamed that you didn't vote for their party?
Yeah.
Because you didn't lose gay rights for people. You know, you didn't lose abortion rights. You didn't. What's
You didn't
left?
fight for them,
What the fuck is
Yeah.
left
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you're
yeah.
both so right? As my IPA so aptly says.
Yeah, we have this guy. He's lost what? At least the Clinton and two Clinton campaigns,
Felipe
and
Rines.
and the Kamala campaign. Philip Rines, yeah, saying
Wasn't he a weapons dealer?
Oh, that would not surprise me at all. But I don't know that. I only knew him as a Clinton operative.
Start
the
that
Hillary
rumor here.
one. But yeah, he says being held hostage to the far left. Most Democrats he knows think the border is a problem and males at birth shouldn't play women's sports. So basically these people they're just all awful people. Like they're awful. They're going to throw every community who might still show up for them under the bus.
We're watching it real time there, and they're really masked off. Like it's out there. Like you're blaming the left, the little bit of branding that you guys own that differentiates you from the right still. You're blaming them.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's like that.
Somebody Google Felipe Rines arms dealer. Tell me
his name was Randy with 2 A's in 2016 after Hillary lost to Trump and said Dems are going to take a long look in the mirror and tell themselves we got to get a little more racist. I'm paraphrasing, but that is exactly
happening every
what
single
they're going
time.
to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole spin that the country has just gone right. And we've let the country go right. And now people just think, you know, they're racist now. They're way more racist now. And that, look, there's some truth to that. That's what happens when you keep losing because you don't offer shit for the economy and you let the right scapegoat the people that are the worst suffering people in society. All those groups,
and then you back them up on it.
Yeah, and you're like, yeah, it was them.
I mean, look what they did. They did that to defund the police and Black Lives Matter, which was very popular. They shut that shit down. They did it to the border and immigrants. We used to say that separating children from their families was reprehensible and the wall was fascism. And then they're like, no, we're going to do all that too. How about the environment, the climate, fracking? We thought that Sarah Palin, drill baby drill, was gross, but now we're going to keep doing that. So they have allowed the right wing to frame every single argument because they're unwilling to call out their donors. And all that's done is it's made regular normie Dems like virulently right wing because now they feel like they're fine. They're actually fine with genocide. They're fine with cop cities. They're fine with more cops. They're fine with the border wall. They're fine or border bill. They're fine with the wall. They're fine. So what are they offering?
And you're turning these groups against themselves. You know, when you got all these videos out there, these videos don't come out of a vacuum. These feelings that these TikTokers and whatnot have come to are based on it being safe to say this now.
Yeah.
That you Mexicans, it's your fault. And because of that, I hope you all get deported. You know, and we're seeing a lot of that. And there, you know,
Adam
the Joe
just wrote that is not a weapons dealer, but a strategic communications guy for Hillary for many years, which is sort of like being a weapons dealer. But thank you for looking that
Google
up.
harder.
Yeah, well, we're going to Google hard. We're going to find it somewhere.
If not, I'm going to put it out there that I said on my podcast he's a arms dealer, and that becomes fact.
Yeah.
That's how the internet works.
Yeah, once you've said it online.
I think he was, though. I really do think he was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He might have been. Whatever. It doesn't even matter. It's just vile. Like,
yeah.
What is he fighting for? And yeah, there was another thing. And, I always hesitate to share here or anywhere really, like random assholes. Like, so there was like a TikTok thread, all these different, I think it was mostly women, but Black women who were like, we're not boycotting Starbucks anymore. Because remember, the boycott was because of the genocide. And now so first of all, that could just be a total psyop, right? Like the right loves nothing more than to divide us all up. So I don't share just like regular people online being assholes, unless it's like specifically directed towards me. But what that does when you see things like that is exactly what you said. It like, I've seen more liberals use the word, or I feel weird even saying it, but like the R word, right? Like all of a sudden that's become a thing to show how you're not going to suppress me and I'm not going to listen to what you say. And you're not going to tell me which words I can and cannot say.
But so I called that a long time ago. This is my opinion.
Yeah.
Not the arms
fact.
dealer part.
It's 99% fact.
That's fact. But I thought that the reason we're seeing this resurgence of the R word is the Democrats strategically were countering the woke narrative that they thought, and this is what all the consultants, this is
right.
So I think that was planted. The turn to all of a sudden the left dropping the R bomb left and right.
Yeah,
it was too fast. It was not a natural, like suddenly the left is going to start dropping R bombs. So
do you think it was to show the right, like we're just as unwoke as you? Is that what you're saying?
I think it was.
Yeah.
I think it was to be like, don't let the right bully us.
Yeah.
We're, because bullies say retarded. That's a thing they say. Like it's a above reproach. Like, what are you going to do, retard? Like.
All right. Now you said it twice. I feel like you got to just stop. They're just going to clip this and be like, this is how we've all turned. No, I know. But like, yeah, I mean, whatever it is, it gives permission. All of this gives permission for people to be their worst selves instead of asking us all I mean, it's like the masks. Like, look at what they did to COVID. You wear a mask now, and it's liberals who look at you. By the way, just aside, but the electrician who 2 weeks ago came and I asked him to put on a mask because we have immunocompromised people. I've been texting him like he hasn't come back. Can we schedule something?
No.
Oh, he's been sick. Yep.
Yikes.
Yeah. Anyway. And now I actually feel a little bit like Joy Reid, like, well, if you don't wear a mask, I hope you get sick, and then you understand. Like I mean, there is some gloating there. I mean, I would never hope for somebody to get COVID or to be deported or anything, but like, there are base instincts that we all have, right? And the thing that we want to do is help each other find the best of ourselves, not fucking tear each other apart.
Well, and that's the point with the election. Like all these things, there are truths in all of it. Like, but like, it's not so simple. Like the COVID thing is pretty simple. There's no right. There's right and wrong. Right is you should protect others and wear a mask, but there are ignorant people also. So you can't blame them entirely. But when it comes to voting, it is complex. There's Palestine, there's your personal interests, there's the economy, there's all that stuff factored in. So to especially be in media and blame groups when it's more complex and it. I'm not saying she doesn't believe that. And, some of that is
right.
Like I said, I'm not a person of color to feel some of that. But she also pushed all this stuff that she knows is true about Palestine.
Yep.
So if a genocide is real and you still vote in your own interests, like what's the math on what's best for the world?
Yeah. And also, as the comedian said, even if you don't have the ability to look at what's happening there and feel like, I can't endorse anybody who would support this or arm them, then at least understand history. Like, when they talk about the canary in the coal mine and it's usually people with disabilities first, right? We saw that with COVID. those people get thrown under the bus, and the working class, and in the world, it's the Palestinians. I mean, here is a country that we support, as he said, with a murder budget, which is so appalling, but for decades, with an illegal occupation and settlements that have only grown. Nobody's doing anything about it. And then our cops are going there to train and bringing like the little Gazas that they've set up in the West Bank to train the IDF on how to terrorize Palestinians. Those same tactics are being brought here for the cop cities, right? We see how they treat the journalists, anybody telling the truth, how protesters are like, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. Once you condone that, then it just gives more permission, which is why we fought so hard against endorsing Kamala Harris. Like, you cannot reward the genocide. You can't reward that money for cops. You can't reward shutting down all of the COVID protections and destroying any hope for public health. We now have, and maybe they'll start talking about it, who knows, but like this bird flu, I think it's going to be possibly very serious. It keeps growing and no one's talking about it. And we vilified mask wearing. So.
And all that happened under Biden, under Democrats. The listen to science crowd said, oh, don't listen to science. Don't listen to that at all.
Masks
just listen to what's important for capitalism, which is you getting sick, working through it, getting other people sick, your kids going to school and getting what's going to disable probably half the fucking country in 10 years. But let's just do that over and over. Democrats did that.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Biden, let's just, because I mean, we never, like, we have a president, which is hilarious. We don't really, but anyway, we do have a president. We have, well, Pelosi already said she blames Biden. He didn't get out early enough. Had the president gotten out sooner, they may have been other candidates in the race, which is hilarious because remember when we all wanted an open primary?
I watched that interview, like the ball she has to come out and say he should have gotten out sooner when she was the one providing, all these guys were providing open cover for him. Like, he's doing great. He's
never been sharper.
Publicly, he may say something that comes across a little gaffy or something, but like, he's really sharp. Trust us.
Yeah. We see him all
and
the
then
time.
she's the one who forces him out ultimately with a phone call under pressure.
Yep.
And then she blames him.
Also, the Harris aides, we ran the best campaign we could considering Joe Biden was president. That's another one. We've got, this is from a Washington Post article, trying to protect Biden, Democrats sacrifice their credibility. I mean, this actually is from the editorial board, and it kind of calls them out that you can, I mean, it's sort of what we're saying, which is hilarious that this is happening in the Washington Post. But anyway, Democrats tried to make fidelity to science, facts, and truth their distinguishing characteristic as a party. The White House's aggressive cover-up of Mr. Biden's decline undermined that claim. Representative Dean Phillips was the only lawmaker willing to challenge Mr. Biden for the Democratic presidential nomination. He was ostracized and lost his spot in House leadership. Mr. Biden's allies concocted terms such as cheap fakes to dismiss embarrassing video clips in which Mr. Biden appeared dazed, confused, tired, and inaudible. Allies of the president frequently labeled content they didn't approve as disinformation, cheapening the term. When a few journalists reported accurately on Mr. Biden's decline, the White House fed critical talking points about their stories to others in the media. So, I mean, everybody's pointing fingers now, but they all deserve it. And then Biden world response, just so we get it. And then I want to hear what your thoughts are on this. But the reckoning in Biden world, per sources, has been emerged among three schools of thought. Biden could have won white working class vote. Obama and Pelosi are to blame for pushing him aside twice. Perhaps he was more deeply unpopular than anyone grasped, although they absolutely knew that most people thought he was too old to run. 36% job approval in July. And there were polls, and even the Pod Save boys talk about this, that showed he was going to lose the Electoral college to like
I was just going
400.
to say.
Yeah.
So the Pod Save Boys admitted this on their show, and it's known now, and nobody's debunked it or said anything that it's not true, that their internal polling showed that they were going to lose 400 to whatever's left. So you only need 260.
Yep.
What was it? 264 to win or something?
270 to win.
270.
And it's
270. They were
540,
stuck
right?
at
There's
260.
or 538. It's 538. And they said he was going to win 400. That Trump would win 400. Yeah.
130. Like that's how close it was going to be, which is why Kamala got in, and it was like, we're so stoked you're not Biden. And like we said, that was going to fade, and they hid it for months, but then she had to talk to people and it tanked her, which is why, okay, this is what I was going to say. I forgot. Pelosi had the balls in her interview, and she's told a little bit of truth there. I mean, who knows? But she said, well, what happened was when Biden got out, we were planning on holding a primary, but then Kamala did such a good job, and she called people and had a whole campaign ready to go. And part of it, she had a campaign ready to go because she was preparing to debate JD Vance. So she had this strategy on how to run against JD Vance ready to go. Yeah. And so everybody just said, she's the one. But that's not democratic. It's not a primary. So she basically admitted, like behind the scenes, it was chosen by the donors because she called these people and nobody ran against her. But the other thing is, technically the Democrats held a primary. So Phillips should have gotten it, right? Am I wrong?
Well, he was on the ballot in a few places, right?
Yeah, but I mean, if you, I understand the rules of the rules, and there were none really,
There were no debates. Like they said, we're not having debates. Yeah.
But if you want to say we held a primary and the guy that won the primary got out, there should have been an argument on his behalf to be the natural next in charge.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Or you could be like, well, the last person who came close was Bernie. Not that he wanted to run, but I'm just saying, like, listen, Dean Phillips' politics are not my politics at all, but he did have some real courage to run against, or to speak out against the establishment, which of course he paid for. Who cares? He's a multimillionaire or whatever, but yeah.
He sucks, but his message was that Biden wasn't going to win.
Yeah.
So he's ultimately so right. Obviously transferred to Kamala, but anyway, if Bernie, I just want to, Bernie had gotten in there himself, if he had the balls to say, we need a primary and put any resistance on this thing, Democrats could have won. So I don't want to hear, I'm glad Bernie's saying the right thing again, but he co-signed Kamala first.
Yeah. I have to tell you, I would not have voted for him, even if he had run now. And I love Bernie, but I wouldn't have voted for him now. Like he's already showed us, I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing it again. I believe in all of the policies he espouses. I think he's probably the best member of Congress.
I can't stand where he's gone, but
yeah,
I think I probably would have voted for him if it was him.
Yeah. I might have done it just as a message to the people in charge, but they don't give a shit anyway. Okay, and then we should really get on to the other part, but the other thing is talking about, we need a feminist Joe Rogan, we need a left-wing Joe Rogan, we need our own media sphere, which one is hilarious on its face because the whole, pretty much all of corporate media is for the Democratic Party, right? So there's no vacuum, or there's no whatever. Sorry, my brain. Void. Thank you. Yeah. Of the liberal corporate Democratic arena. But the other part is Joe Rogan, who just endorsed Trump, which gross, but he was gettable. He was pro Bernie. He, and we don't even have to show it. It's 2.5 minutes, and it's by Matt Orff. And I know there's all this stuff, but there was a time. Yeah.
Well, go ahead. Please.
Well, Bernie got those people. Bernie got the Bernie bros who all of the DNC people are like, oh, they're racist, sexy Bernie bros. He got young people. He got everybody under 50, Black, Asian, Latino. Like Bernie did that.
All
the
demographics she lost, he was huge in.
Everybody. And he was vilified and crushed at the knees by Obama, whose legacy is now twice losing to Trump. That's his legacy. Bernie had all of them.
And this idea that we need a feminist Joe Rogan, which, you know, this guy on CNN, I think he brought it up. But look, she could have gone on Joe Rogan. She could have gone on Joe Rogan. And if you watch Joe Rogan occasionally, he is not a contrarian. If you go on his show last, he probably agrees with you.
Yeah, right.
So all she had to do was do an okay job, make a few points, clear some stuff up. Even if she left that show and people were like, yeah, I don't know, like unwinding some of Trump would have helped her for sure with people.
Yeah.
Like even if you don't win the audience over at all, I mean, at large, you're going to win a percentage back.
Yeah. But she had nothing to talk about. And she was embarrassed and nervous. And, you know, listen, if you're too scared to go on Joe Rogan, you can't be the leader of the free world. Like you just can't. You have to be able to talk about what you believe in for an extended interview without, you know, and how many different people were shown to have like the script notes, what they had to ask Biden and what they had to ask Kamala or whatever. Remember Tavis Smiley had a whole thing when he was having Jill Stein on. We didn't even address it back then.
Questions by the Democratic Party to attack Jill Stein.
Yeah, gross.
But, you know, a long form interview. Ooh, I get it. I understand why she didn't do it. It's because she's terrible. But that's why she's not. That's why she lost. She is not a good politician. She is not good thinking on her feet. She is
just no ideology.
Her ideology is what they tell her to support. End of story. That's why she's there. And so now they're reframing this like this is going to be Biden, like she's going to make a comeback in a couple of years. And we're going to see her again in politics. And we probably fucking are. They're talking about running her as governor to replace Newsom. I mean,
Steve Garvey will finally win the governorship. Or
California's going to go red if she does that. Probably
it's going to totally go to a Republican or the guy who owns all the malls out here. Who, by the way, what's his name? Rick Caruso, who lost to Karen Bass. He's a $100 millionaire who owns all of our mall places out here, a real estate developer. And he's a Trump guy, but he has like a slightly better facade. And, you know, there's Gwyneth Paltrow supporting him over Karen Bass. You know, like these are the people who make palatable the most disgusting right-wing policies. All right, what were you going to show? Because I think you were saying you wanted to show.
Oh, was I going to show something?
No. Okay.
Clips or something.
Are we moving on, or what do you think? Are we spinning and moving, or is there? Any
you don't want to show the montage. What about the Blaine Psaki Dem exit? I didn't even watch it.
Whatever. She's just saying like we can't keep. I mean, whatever you want to do. I'm so tired of these people. They're just liars. Like they're all liars. So the only, the thing about that montage of Joe Rogan, and it's 2.5 minutes, but it's just like clip after clip of him being like, tax the wealthy, don't separate people at the border. I'm a Bernie guy. I want people to have health care. And he yells at his his cohort, whoever who's there, is like, pay your fucking taxes, pay more. You sound like a Republican. Like we had people like that.
Yeah. And I just read Josh's comment. He disagrees because Rogan has become a pretty right-wing platform, more or less. But I think that's where
Kamala, because she's a fucking right-wing also.
That's where, like, okay, if it's a right-wing audience, right-wing platform, you go in there and they're either committed or you change some minds. You're not like nobody's watching. You're going to go, well, now I heard from Kamala. I think I'm going to go Trump. They were already going to go Trump. If she can't convince them otherwise, a couple of them, I don't know. I don't see a negative. It's like Bernie going on Fox, and Bernie was able to switch, the polls after every time Bernie actually appeared on Fox Town Hall it shifted the viewers'
100%.
perception. And
Standing ovation.
And I know she doesn't have that capability, but even at her low skill level, Well, she probably would have blown it. Don't get me wrong. I get strategically.
Yeah, the point isn't, oh, she should have gone on Rogan.
We should have had a
disaster.
candidate who could have.
Yeah, exactly. But now
Right,
I feel like we need to show this because I really feel like,
all right.
like people
just
are
to change
memory
Josh's mind.
Yeah.
We need to
I
change.
really believe if Michelle Obama runs, she might win. She's good. She's great. She's the wife of the best president that we have had in our lifetime. I've never voted right wing in my life. I consider universal basic income a really good idea. I want free college education. Take it easy. Hello, Bernie.
How are you, Joe?
Wonderful. Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I like Tulsi and I like Bernie. That's it.
Oh, yeah?
Everybody else can eat shit.
Look at you, fucking progressive.
Yeah. I think I'll probably vote for Bernie. I think he's looking out for the interests of the working people. And I think he wants people to have a better life and do better. And I'm all for that. And if that means I have to pay more in tax, like people think, oh, you're a socialist. I've heard people say that. Oh, you're a fucking socialist, bro. Like, first of all, he's not even a socialist. He's a democratic socialist. It's a different thing. I would like to spend more in taxes if they could fix inner city communities and take these poor neighborhoods and throw a fuckload of spend more, you fucking Republican piece of shit. 87% of scientists said that human activity is driving global warming. I'm very pro-choice. I'm very women's rights, civil rights, gay rights, trans rights. I'm even universal health care. Obviously, this protected status is driving me crazy. This thing that Trump's doing with children that were born in other countries and then brought over here as children, and then they're talking about deporting them. That drives me fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's
that kind of shit. And the hard right version of that is despicable. These people that I see online, why didn't they apply for citizenship? Oh, who knows? Maybe because they're fucking 13. I don't give a fuck if they broke the law. You don't take parents and kids and separate them. You just fucking don't. You know Alonzo? No, who's that? A funny comedian. Yeah. He goes, not all Donald Trump supporters are racist, but all racists are Donald Trump supporters.
He definitely awakened that side.
But the January 6th thing is important.
See, it is important, but is it the 6 months later? Should be the ruling number one conversation of journalists?
I think it's really important. And one of the reasons why I think it's important because it highlights the reasons why a guy like Donald Trump is so fucking dangerous. Is because a guy can incite a bunch of morons to do something really fucking stupid. But as far as trans people, some trans people listening to this, I got nothing but love for you. For everybody. And in fact, Eddie Izzard is one of my all-time favorite guests.
Oh, I love Izzard.
The right-wing thing is just an easy way to dismiss me, because I'm not right-wing. I can't recommend your book, Race Matters, enough.
I mean, that's the thing that Democrats have done by going so far right. Now, Kamala Harris was even asked, she was handed on a silver platter, what would you do for trans people? And she said, I'd obey the law in each state. Yeah, you got to follow the law in each state. States have the right to do whatever they want to do. What kind of champion is that? Nothing. So the whole point of this isn't like, oh, Joe Rogan is great. Like maybe, I don't know who's commenting, but maybe you missed the argument. No, the whole point is we could have gotten people who have now gone to the right.
Yeah, just assuming it's a right-wing audience from the jump, you want a candidate that can go and jump in there and change some minds on it, because all you got to do is point out the fallacies of the scapegoating. Right. You're scapegoating the wrong people. That's the problem with Trump. You're scapegoating these people. This is why immigrants aren't to blame for this. This is why the economy would be bad under him. This is why, explain tariffs, explain why inflation is better here post-pandemic. I mean, I don't believe that. That's an excuse, but anybody you should be able to go into the lion's den and fight, and to not go on that, knowing that it's like there's more viewers there than all of mainstream media now. And the biggest segment she lost was young people, and they watch Rogan. So you had an opportunity. You didn't have a candidate that could jump in there and do it.
And that's, I mean, what a disgusting, disgraceful party pretending to be the opposition. Like their goal, you cannot say this is fascism, this is the end of democracy, and now we're going to pass the reins over peacefully. This guy, the Supreme Court's given him unlimited powers. He's a king. The executive now has all the powers in the world. You have 70 more days. Do something. Like go look at the American prospect. And David Dane had a list of all the things in 2020 that Biden could do the second he took office as an executive action. It was canceling student debt. It was Medicare for all. It was, one thing after another. that are actually possible, and they're not going to do any of it.
And strategically long term for the Democratic Party, it would be so much better for the party if they enacted some of these things that he can do via executive fiat, executive order, or whatever, and make Trump repeal those things. That's built-in stuff to run on.
Yeah.
Built-in stuff to run on
Yep.
immediately. Like, hey, we put this in place, it helped people's lives, and then first thing Trump did was repeal it.
And if Bring the Ruckus, AOC Pelosi got out there and started banging that drum, she would actually also be popular with people, not with, Jamie Harrison, but and Hakeem Jeffries. But yeah.
Okay, so we don't run that segment anymore. We watched it, so you don't have to. But I watched AOC's 1 hour long rant.
Yeah.
I only pulled a minute of it because I couldn't watch it twice to go edit where the things were.
All right.
I was like, I should have bookmarked and used a pencil like you like to do.
I like, that.
But
yeah.
This is just so insulting to hear from AOC. So I wanted to pull this clip.
And I don't want to bounce around too much, but one of the big things that I think is going to be very important for all of us, and again, I might be bouncing around because I am what is known, and I believe in a theory of politics known as inside-outside politics. That means that I believe we have people and elected officials on the inside that try to agitate, or rather try to organize and build power and help influence decisions on the inside of institutions, but that alone is not enough or sufficient to make change in this country. That we also need mass movement politics and robust people's movements, and that those people's movements are where the actual seats of power and influence in this country come from a mass organized and mobilized base of working people.
So
okay, that's great. That's I
what?
Actually agree with that. That was why you were elected, but you're not the inside person now. You're not doing what you were supposed to be doing on the inside.
Right.
You're attacking the groups on the outside that are doing the organizing you say you're supposed to be leveraging for. You aren't bringing the ruckus on the inside. First thing you did was say, go vote for Biden. You got to vote for Biden. Then you run fucking TikToks on, you can't, where is
the big grifter, Jill Stein.
Yeah.
When your lady just raised $1 billion in 100 days. 100 days is too hard to form a platform, apparently, but $1 billion.
Right. So now you're saying basically to the public, well, us Democrats can't do it. It's up to you. Now it's up to you because we can't do it. We don't have the votes. Well, you could have done it. You could have done it before. You had the votes. You could have pressured. You could have gotten a Medicare for all floor vote. You puts pressure on that.
Yep.
I mean, how many times?
Or minimum wage.
You're going to be a one-term candidate. You're going to bring so much ruckus.
Nothing more powerful than that.
In Congress on doing it. And here you are. You're one of the first to say you got to vote for Biden. You're one of the first to vote for Kamala. You're out there running videos about how sharp Biden is. So your credibility's in the shit. She was one of the biggest people, one of the most vocal people about squashing this argument that Biden should step down.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Wrong about that. Wrong about, the force the vote stuff. Wrong about all of it. I was thinking, because for such a long time, it's been like, and I subscribed to this for a while, like, who's the better target? That's who you vote for. And I mean, I said that about Bernie because I wasn't on the same page with him about everything, but I was like, he's definitely the better target. I would way rather have him in and be appealing to him, fighting against him, appealing to his better, whatever, angels or whatever the hell people say. But I know this is just a different way of saying what we've been saying all along, but like, it's actually harmful to the left to have the better target in there, because, and I wonder if it even would have been true with Bernie, everybody wants to protect the person they think is better than the worst option. And so there's never the right time, right? And I know I've been hearing stuff about Brandon Johnson, who's the mayor of Chicago, who, you know, is sort of a Bernie lefty kind of guy. And when he makes decisions that are very upsetting to the Chicago Teachers Union, who's a pretty great organization, there's a feeling of having to sort of like circle the wagon and protect him because he's one of theirs. And even if he makes a bad calculation, he's their guy on the inside, which makes that outside inside strategy, it takes it out at the knees. Like if you can't fight against your inside person because you don't want the left to look bad in front of the whole country or the world, then there's no power, actually. I don't know.
I mean, the inside outside strategy only works if the inside has some balls. And if the
outside doesn't mind holding their person to account. And
Yes.
like nobody's doing, like, is the DSA even doing that with AOC? I mean, I know we all know about the DSA now, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's about the inside person, but it's also the outside people who want to protect their person.
Look, there would be a lot of people if Bernie had won who would defend him to the death, no matter what he didn't do.
Right.
You know,
Right.
but there would also be, it depends on the person. I mean, I think Bernie is an exception in that his beliefs are, if he pushed any policy very contrary to his beliefs, he would get called out by enough people to keep that pressure on. But the problem is, like with AOC, like where's the pressure on her? Like she's got no pressure on her now. And she's like the lesser evil, you know, like, okay, who do you want to get to replace AOC? Well, it'll probably be someone to the right of her, but she's just placating the left, and she's like Miss TikTok on, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, that dress that she wore to the Met Gala that said "Eat the Rich," that just kind of, that sums her up entirely. You're going to go to the
crying at the border, and I mean, you name it, and endorsing Biden right away, and defending Biden's age, and he's fine, and he's the most FDR, you know. I fucking hate AOC, which it took me a long time to hate her, honestly. Like I wouldn't defend her, but I was part of the give her time.
Yeah.
Even on Force the Vote, I'm like, you know, maybe there's some strategy here. I was for Force the Vote, but you know, I'm like, she's proven herself though. Like it's so proven. It's not debatable now that she's just a fucking worker for the Democratic Party.
100%. Yeah. All right, let's spin this so we can, because I do think it's important that we get to the Maccabi stuff.
Do it.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, baby.
All right, I'm removing it. I'm going to refill my glass.
We can just call that a timeline.
All right, yeah, just put on. Yeah, we don't have time for it. That is one of my favorite ones we've ever shown. I love that. That's so cool.
That's wild.
That is really cool.
I got nothing. I got no hair, so I can't really pull those off anymore.
No, that's the whole point. They can tattoo anything and then just like put little bells and whistles on your head and make a picture.
And then
That's
shave it
pretty
off.
cool.
Yep.
All right. So, this thing happened a few nights ago. I went on Facebook because I just kind of wanted to see what the libs were saying about the election. And I started seeing them be like, it's a pogrom in Amsterdam. And I was like, this doesn't feel right. I didn't know enough about it. Started doing research. There are tons of independent journalists who were, or just people on the street with their iPhones chronicling it. And the pogrom happening was, of course, completely negated by the facts.
Okay, wait. Can I time out real quick? Can you explain pogrom to people?
Okay, a pogrom is an attack on a group of people who are being subjected or dominated by the ruling group of the area where they are. So I think, and I might be wrong, but the first time it was used was in a turn of the 20th century Russia when it was happening against Jews, right? So they would be attacked. They'd be forced to be in small communities, ghettos, right? Where they weren't allowed out after certain times. Their storefronts would be broken. Their homes would be either invaded or desecrated. It's not just like random fights against people. It's very specifically like the majority group in power against a minority group who's living in that area. So then, I'm trying to think of the first, let's show this is, I'm always nervous because I feel like if I show something from, I think TRT is a Turkish funded site. And so people will, come out against that. So there was an original story by Sky Media, which is that Australian, I think, right?
Yeah.
Talking about it. But it's been pulled. But
it was pulled and changed.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to make it more of a story. It started out as actual hooligans being out of hand, and then
so Maccabi,
the story morphed to make it more anti-Semitic for the purpose of studying this anti-Semitic theory of this.
Exactly. So Maccabi Tel Aviv, it's a soccer team from Tel Aviv. Historically racist. People have been trying to get them kicked out of the World Federation for years. I actually want to go to the TRT because it's almost exactly the same, but it just gives a little bit more about them also. I'm just going to show that.
After Maccabi Tel Aviv's Champions League match against Ajax Amsterdam concluded, things got ugly. Maccabi hooligans took to the streets of the Dutch capital and began chanting racist slogans directed at Palestine's Gaza and Arabs in general, and ripping off Palestinian flags from homes. The shouting and taunting eventually led to violent clashes with locals, leaving 5 people hospitalized and 62 arrested. But there's more. Dutch publication Die Telegraaf reports that Israel's intelligence agency, Mossad, had sent agents to accompany the team amidst potential security risks. The Israeli football club is no stranger to controversy. It has an openly racist fan base that regularly targets Arab players, even those on their own team. Since 2009, under Canadian Zionist owner Mitch Golder, the number of players of Arab origin has dropped significantly. Known as Maccabi fanatics, the team's fans aren't only about football, they are also vocal supporters of PM Benjamin Netanyahu and have gone after anti-government protesters in Israel. In 2015, they displayed an anti-refugee banner at a match, and in March, they attacked someone carrying a Palestinian flag during a fixture in Greece. Following the recent riots in Amsterdam, pressure is increasing for UEFA to impose more drastic measures rather than mere fines on both Maccabi Tel Aviv and its violent and racist fans. Will we finally see a change, or will UEFA continue to allow this extremist behavior?
Okay, so not only that, they were chanting things like no schools in Gaza because we've killed all the children. Let the IDF win to fuck the Arabs. There are no schools in Gaza because there are no children running through the streets like this. There was a minute of silence for the flood victims in Spain. And because Spain has been pretty outspoken against the genocide. During that moment of silence at the soccer match, they were lighting fireworks and screaming "Kill the Arabs" and saying hateful things. Like, so they're pulling down flags. They beat up some taxi cab drivers. They had lead pipes. They were running around. There's a young 17-year-old reporter. I don't know if he was a reporter before, but his footage has been used, who narrates like a 18-minute video tracking them and the Mossad agents. And remember, a lot of these fans are also IDF soldiers who are coming. So these are people who are actively complicit in genocide, right? And so all of this is happening, and then they come back to, after this horrific pogrom, Israel, being sarcastic for anybody not watching me do the air quotes, they return from Amsterdam, and then at the Ben Gurion airport start singing that same chant, "Ole, ole, 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 let the IDF win and fuck the Arabs. Ole, 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 ole. Why is school out in Gaza? There are no children left there." So here is them returning. Okay, so just saying the most vile, hateful things. It's on video. But the first thing that happens is it's called a pogrom, and one Western leader after another, Justin Trudeau, it's horrifying. Anthony Blinken, no place in our world for anti-Semitic attacks. Biden, I mean, he emerges from his patient bed. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, just to be clear, because we didn't really, maybe that video showed it and I kind of missed it, but there was massive violence in the streets. So
yeah,
the pro-Palestine people were beaten up by these groups of people running around. The hooligans, what's the name of the soccer club, whatever. The supporters were out there terrorizing the street and vocally inducing all this, this rage amongst the people, but they provoked the violence themselves also. So, I mean, I just wanted to set
100%. Yeah.
Because I don't know if we said that part.
Sorry, I thought it was on there.
Know the story itself.
Yeah. I mean, there is a councilman from Amsterdam who goes into, I mean, we have so many videos, but they're all sort of like a little overlapping. So we didn't want to show 6 minutes of videos that sort of each have a bit of another, but like, yes, here is this group of people. Many of them, again, are IDF soldiers on vacation. It's a well-known, like, racist group, team. Yeah. They don't even want their own, like, they had a couple of Muslim players play for them and just tormented them. And actually, when one of the Muslim players, this was a couple of years ago, scored a goal, they all, like, the fans get up and start walking out. They just did not want to, like, they are a vile hate group going through a foreign city in Amsterdam, terrorizing anybody who looked brown, Muslim, whatever, pulling, flags off of people's homes, ripping things out of their hands, destroying, attacking cabs, taxi drivers. And so, yeah, then there was, like, because they traveled with Mossad. Strange. Why would you travel with Mossad? And, the theory is, because this has happened many times before, is there is a desire to stoke fears of anti-Semitism to galvanize more support for Israel, because Israel right now is a pariah state in the rest of the world, even though it's not so much in certain, in the US and in certain European countries. But like, go ahead.
Well, but you have, I mean, I think the reason Mossad was there and why they were following them and why this story has blown up into an entirely false narrative is there are raging examples of anti-Palestine hate crimes left and right. And you can't even compare the anti-Semitism cases to the actual violence perpetrated on Palestinian supporters.
Right.
So they're they're craving examples of this to make their false case.
Yep. And again, like, Zionism thrives on anti-Semitism. It would not be a successful project. Israel would not have been it would not have been created in the same way if it hadn't been for World War II. I mean, that's just the truth. They thrive on anti-Semitism. So if it doesn't exist, they have to do these false flags. They have to change the definition so that it's, anybody who speaks out against Israeli policies, that's anti-Semitic. If you say from the river to the sea, that's genocidal, even though that's part of the Likud platform, right? And I mean, even like the Daily Mail got it right. There were reports about the Maccabi fans who were looking for a fight. This was in BBC News. And then they tried to use, so this is some, Israeli spokesperson talking about Middle Eastern migrants continue to hunt down Jews in the streets of Amsterdam. The woman beneath that is the one who actually took the video and says, that's fake. This is a group of Maccabi supporters starting a fight and beating a Dutch man, right? Then there is this Amsterdam group of a Jewish group in Amsterdam, Erev Ravni. The medial portrayal of these events as an unprovoked anti-Semitic attack on peaceful football protesters does not reflect the full context. The visiting fans engaged in provocative behavior, destroying private property, intimidating passersby, carrying flares, gathering in the city center, directing inflammatory, racist, violent chants at locals. So, as all of this is happening, you have people like Bari Weiss and Aviva Klampas saying a pogrom unfolding. This is not a pogrom. This is violent thugs terrorizing a city. And because the Amsterdam police kind of sat back and watched it happen, taxi drivers and residents of Amsterdam kind of, came together to try to fight them off because nobody else was doing it. They were being terrorized.
Yeah, punch a Nazi. So, I mean, the shameful part of this is like this story it's not that ambiguous. It's not that confusing. If you just watch the footage, you understand that these were hooligans creating havoc, celebrating a win, being assholes, and provoking violence against the local citizens because they were a mob in large numbers.
Yep.
Right. And so it's shameful that you got this 17-year-old kid going out there, risking his own life, filming this stuff for like 20 minutes, this citizen journalist, and you can't get CNN can't get on that, or, there's nobody else, just this little kid with a phone. But the truth is that's where we know the truth, largely from stuff like this kid filming stuff,
And to have it so blatant where everybody in Amsterdam was very clear on what was happening. And then to have world leaders just like one after another, again, I'm just like, it
started with Biden and
Biden. And I mean, even, Emmanuel Macron and Justin Trudeau, and
they're all condemning the fake anti-Semitism.
Yeah, of course, that horrible ambassador that we have, even I think Ro Khanna did something like, so that's how a narrative is created. And if we did not have social media, you would believe that. Like the people on Facebook who only look to CNN and MSNBC, where it's just been completely, and New York Times, like, yeah.
Here's our progressive left.
Israeli civilians. Yeah.
Which is why this inside outside thing, I mean, it was a theory I believed for a while, but then we immediately saw there's no inside. We have no inside left.
Yep. Yeah. That's really, Hope, that's really true. And, we talked about that at the beginning of the genocide, where it's like, everything's reversed and this is the domestic violence, and now I'm going to forget some parts of that acronym, but where everything is flipped and inverted to make the aggressor the victim. And to watch it happen, though, I mean, we've been doing it for over a year now as we watch, Israel has a right to defend itself for a year. And we all see the truth of what's happening. So this was a microcosm of it, but to watch it play out so quickly and to see how fast people who want to believe believed it. I don't know how much longer it can persist, but that narrative is still really strong. They still control all of, all of the strings.
I mean, I think we're at the tipping point because, like this story, for example, so many people get their news from the internet and other places than CNN and MSNBC and whatnot. So all of it hurts the future of the left and the right and the trust in our government. It's just, what do we do with it? Now we know the Democrats are lying to us, right?
Right.
Bald-faced lies right to our face, about it all. So what do we do? Wish I had the answer, but I mean, we still have to keep waking up our lib friends. That's still very important, but we have to wake them up and do something beyond protests. And, we titled this the Pussyhats
revival.
Revival, but that's what's coming, is some sort of movement where it's like,
they're going to say everybody's
that lead to last
racist.
time?
You voted against yourself. There are people saying already that it's not a legitimate presidency. Like all of that.
It led to us losing abortion rights.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Democrat losing abortion rights is what the Pussyhat revival
and doing a genocide, and no talk at all about police brutality here at home. Nothing. Like, we've stopped talking about it, and fracking is okay now, and the border bill.
Which is why you can't pinpoint your energy on stopping Trump, which is all the Pussyhat revival is about.
Yeah.
You have to stop
and bringing back good
our
Republicans.
government. You need to inject socialism on some level, and our government has to change, and it's not going to change through voting. We have to force this shit upon them. Use those mobs in the street, use the people power we have to insist on things changing, or X doesn't happen. The roads toll bridges don't get crossed, or, we just all don't go to work for a week, or hurt them.
Yeah. Where it counts. Because they don't, as we all know, it doesn't matter. Their success is not dependent on winning elections. It's just money. So that's actually where that's where our focus has to be. Somehow putting a stop to the influx of money for them, one way or the other. All right. Do you have any final words?
No. No, but we have to, it's all about money. So somehow you have to harm the money of the big donors, not just the little donors. You can't just convert your lib friends to being progressive. Do that, but get them on board to harming the financial impetus for the system to continue as it is. Change something.
We all need to watch how to make a fire.
Don't put on a hat.
Pipe bomb.
Putting on a hat. I wear a hat every day. It doesn't change shit.
Look at what you're doing, though. You're changing the world. All right. We had a hard time finding one good thing today. I mean, most days, but I don't know. It's hard some days. So, there are parts of this that are uplifting, parts that aren't. And I just feel like what we all need to do, as we do, is just keep speaking truth to power and keep punching up and remember why we're in this fight. I also think that's really important, So thank you to all of you. We love you guys. We'll see you.
Solidarity and cheers. Keep fighting. Raise hell.
Keep punching up.
See you Wednesday.
I know I had to.
وقف الطفل وحده والليالي ورصاص من حوله وجنود وقف الطفل والحجارة أكوام وعيناه عزمة وصمود وعيناه عزمة وصمود From
heart when we've seen the bodies found in a mountain of parts. Netanyahu told you just another child of the dark. Clear it's gonna take much more than thousands to march, more than a speech, more than a poem, more than a track of music. Gonna take more than a sit down with Bassem Youssef. Even bringing back ambassadors is an act that's useless, long as you pump oil through Apaches and the text they using. Freedom just beyond reach for people you cannot see. He's wheezing and cannot breathe and screaming through the concrete, looking for his 4 children. The bombs leave structures that I wouldn't want to call buildings. My fingers pointed at this government, you all killed them. Tell me that you wouldn't take up arms if those were your children. Let me make the factor clear. These bombs were manufactured here, and they want the land as theirs because of natural gas in there. Feel death in the atmosphere, while we happily stand and stare. And a little boy begs for his brother's strand of hair. Truth is, I don't know how anyone can live after digging for their dead kids buried under bricks. Israel is a terror state, terrorists I terrorize. I testify my television, televise, I'm telling lies. This is not a war, it is systematic genocide. But whatever they try, Palestine will never die. They're not prepared to face the pain, so they're scared to say your name. They're not prepared to face the pain, so they're scared to say your name. They're not prepared to face the pain, so they're scared to say your name. They're not prepared to face the pain, so they're scared to say your name.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea, free, 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 free. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea, free, 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 free.
They bomb churches and paramedics, it's hurting, the panic spreading. Hospitals where the doctors do C-sections, no anesthetics. The pressure is manifesting, humanity stands connected. Masses seem apathetic and actually just accept it. When our grandchildren ask us, what did we do to stop it? I'm determined to say I did more than make music on it. It's why we shut down arms factories. You can try stopping us. Palestine action's the opposite of white phosphorus. We tell them on television, but they never listen. Tell Piers Morgan that resistance isn't terrorism. They want them fled or missing, death or prison, endless killing. I seen a father hold his baby up, the head was missing. Imagine demolition of home where your parents live in. Kings won't say a thing, but at least we know that Yemen's with them. Ethnic cleansing, it ain't hard to see the stages, but Gaza, Al-Azza graveyard of the invaders. Ears close to the savagery, cleared though when there's clarity. The journalists and doctors are heroes of humanity. The sordid and as gory as this story is for now. And they depopulating Gaza for Ben-Gurion's canal. Israel is a terror state, terrorists that terrorize. I testify my television, televise, I'm telling lies. This is not a war, it is systematic genocide. But whatever they try, Palestine will never die.
ولن نرحل من هذه الأرض بل سنتقدم إلى أرضنا إلى بلادنا إلى فلسطين